Hello and welcome to CI group of SIG Node. It's Monday, I forgot, November 9th. Good morning, everybody, and good day, whoever, whatever time zone you are in. Let's get started. So there is a first agenda item with no name on it. Somebody wanted to talk about node conformance CI debrief. Does anybody know owners of this topic?
I can talk about it.
Okay.
So basically, yeah, the node conformance tests were failing for like a couple of weeks. So Morgan figured out that it was related to changes made to support insecure ports, and it just the bearer token wasn't plumbed through properly. So we basically Morgan made that change to plumb it through properly, and then that fixed the tests. And then at some point, anyway, so the main issue is resolved. The test output is a little funky. Basically, what usually happens is the OS is usually inserted into the test file name, and there's a parameter of the call that is not included on the node conformance test, which basically means that they all kind of they're missing this like Ubuntu or whatever. Anyway, I kind of figured that part out, but I wasn't able to figure out how exactly that gets set. So we can either keep tracking this under a different issue or but anyway, that's the main issue is solved, but the output looks bad.
Do you mean output on test like?
So basically,
yeah.
Sorry.
I would,
yeah. Let me take a step back. So basically, if you go to test grid, you'll see that like all of the test runs, has like the grid of all the tests, and then it has like a random number, or not a random. It has like a number part of like the test name, and usually those all line up properly, but in this case, they don't. So it's kind of like, it looks like there's a bunch of different tests run in each run because they are essentially overriding each other. Anyway, so it's not a huge deal, but it does cause some problems there.
Okay. So, I mean, if you want to track it as the same issue, it's fine, I guess. Are you working on it? You are muted.
Yeah, I'll probably dig a little further this week to see if I can figure out how that parameter gets set.
Cool, thank you. So container D jobs are failing as well. I can speak about it a little bit. So Derek from container D changed the test input from like test YAML file from CRI to test YAML in container D, and that somehow broke the test. I think it's just because test YAML file was not downloaded properly or something. So he promised to take a look, but it's still like 2 weeks passed and he hasn't. I will ping him again. If not, I will take a look myself. So it's here, this item. Okay. So did you see this one, or it's the same? Serial last red. Okay. Anybody knows about this item? Going once, going twice. Okay, Karan. Let's take a look at NPD then. Can you update everybody on what's going on?
Sure. It seems, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Just want to make sure. So NPD test seems to have been failing since, I believe, October 22, 23, something like that. So it's been a couple of weeks. And there's been a couple of changes trying to fix it, specifically around service account admission webhook, admission controller, sorry. But those don't seem to have fixed the test. So one of the latest fixes is for the service account webhook, but that didn't fix it. If you like scroll down in the pull request, I'm trying to run it with the patch, and where I got was basically the test does a bunch of setup and then creates the NPD pod. But within that pod, the command it runs is touch a file and then run the container. So it gets as far as touching that file, creating that file, and then the container just exits without any logs. There's no logs in the kubelet for why it's not running. There's no logs in the Docker runtime, containerd runtime. There's no like actual container logs on the file system. Weirdly, with the same file mounts and everything, I can run the container with Dockerd like manually. So we know the container should run. The pod doesn't actually run. So this is going to block any NPD node problem detector changes. It's one of the tests, one of the pre-submit tests. So I think I've exhausted all options from my end, but I'm hoping someone else can provide another set of eyes. It's possible there's something like pretty obvious that that is wrong with it.
So is it specific to NPD or just pod wouldn't run at all?
This test only creates the NPD pod. So the pod runs because it is creating the file that it's supposed to. It's basically, touch a file and run NPD in the container. So the container is being scheduled and it's being run, but then for some reason, NPD itself is exiting without any logs.
I can see the pull request, like it passed all lanes. Does the NPD test does not run by default, or should you just initiate it manually?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, like under the pull request that you added, I can see that all lane passed. Node problem detector end-to-end test, does it run under the separate lane? Should I run it manually? It does not run automatically.
I don't think it runs in Kubernetes like the main repo as a pre-submit, but it does in the node problem detector repo. So yeah, you should run it manually. I think this is how I ran it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can take like an additional look on it on my free time. So if I will find something, I will inform you.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I'm also I'm available on Slack if you need to ping me or anything.
Yeah, sure. Same for me.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, Artem, next item is yours.
Yeah, so after Zeroy provided me some daemon set with configuration that should be done to add additional kernel arguments, I tried, I dig it yesterday into end-to-end remote runner, just to see how I can to inject it. And in the end, I saw that I succeeded to inject it, but I felt to have really NUMA nodes, fake NUMA nodes, because in the end, to enable fake NUMA node, you need to compile your kernel with additional config parameters like config NUMA and config NUMA emulator. So the question for me, how can I proceed from this point? We want to test multi-NUMA we want to run multi-NUMA test under the Kubernetes SIG because we have like I think 2 or 3 components like device plugin, topology manager, CPU manager, and in the future memory manager that it can great to run test on multi-NUMA node machines. But to be honest, I don't have currently any additional ideas how can I to achieve it, because like I did not find any parameters related to additional CPU topology that can be done under the GC instance. Like for example, I know that under the QM and libvirt we can just configure NUMA topology and it will be automatically available, but no such thing is available under the Google Cloud instance. And like I said before, to use the fake NUMA, we need like some image that precompiled with these config parameters. So if anyone has some additional files, how can we test multi-NUMA components? It can be great. Like if you have any idea, just leave the comment under the document.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to add, so because the tests are running on COS, and COS doesn't have the config NUMA command line parameter, and you can't change it in runtime. Pretty much the only option if you want to go with this path is to talk to the COS team. So I think I saw internally we were looking into.
Yeah, Roy is on the call, so Roy maybe.
Oh yeah, Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I checked the kernel option. I think the config NUMA is already set yes. I just comment doc, but the only missing part is config NUMA emulation. Yeah, so that one we need to discuss internally to see whether it's enable. If we enable that need the command line change, right? The basically like the NUMA equal fake. Yeah, I would try to persuade the team to enable to especially like the long term like this like good for the environmental or related like stuff. Yeah, this one is I think that we have the internal bug is tracking. Yeah, if the team like agrees, mostly we can roll out in the future release. Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah, I think that's one update from us. But this still need to change the command line. I think that's not the philosophy. Cause promote because that's endanger the security. If even we enable this option, if the VM is a secure boot, you still cannot do the test. Yeah. But this required basically the VM. When we start the VM, you should disable secure boot. Yeah.
Roy, do you have an idea? Like, so this may or may not be accepted and released in the next version. So if we know for sure, it would be great to have an update. If not, is there any alternatives? Can you think of any how to run tests in open source Kubernetes so we can validate topology manager?
I think without this option, mostly you cannot fake the NUMA user kernel. Then you have to write that's what from my research. Yeah. I think with that, luckily this fake NUMA, this guy the David, he's a Googler. I was contacting him to see whether there's some security implication. If there's no, I think we should be fine to invite. Yeah.
So you will have an update maybe next week? Oh.
Yeah, I think maybe next like 2 weeks we should. Yeah, I already cleared the bug. Also, I include the Googler, the Googler into that email. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Artyom, it's easier for you than just to wait for an update here than investigate other options.
It's great to hear that you already like started to work on it. It's a lot of thanks. Like it can help a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, we try to make it works. Yeah.
Okay, Francesca.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
we're nodding. Yeah.
Great, awesome. So, contributed another fix which we found internally, and I think this fix also makes the test more robust, the test flow more robust, easier to follow. However, I will not hide that we are hitting a nasty interaction between the SRV device plugin and the kubelet. I'm still trying to narrow down. I can't say it's an environment, is something specific of the box, is something we really need to track down. I think I shared another Bugzilla which is related in the PR. So I think overall the PR is worth reviewing. So there is some benefit, but there is still more to be found in this area. Also, I added like a couple of lines like to explain why you see, well, you can run just fine the lane and it will not file for that reason. And the reason is this part of the test is skipped until you run on a box, which is virtual, which is real hardware, which doesn't have at least 2 NUMA nodes and some SRV devices, because we want to test actually topology manager alignment. So this is the reason I added this explanation. So basically, review request. Please, people, when you have time, review, because it's. I think it's good to have it some discussion around this PR. That's it.
Okay, and is it failing now in test grid or it's just improvement?
It is an improvement because in test grid you don't hit this code. If you look at the code in the location I linked here, you will see that part will be skipped in test grid. So test grid is going to be green, but green because that part is going to be skipped. So there is no urgency. Test grid is going to be green. It's like when you run on your box, I mean in your hardware with which fulfills those requirements. However, you will probably hit this bug I'm fixing.
I wonder why we don't run it on, like, do we need special devices for this test?
No, we need any device which is recognized by device, which has a device plugin, and SRV device happen to be the easiest to get. But any device, of course we will need a code change, but any device which have device plugin is good enough.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the history of this test. Why we keep the test in Kubernetes repository that we don't intend to run on test grid.
We want to no wait.
Okay.
This is a part of the test. If you, well, I can't tell you the whole story because I was there from the beginning. So the intention was, okay, eventually we will have a test line. This is a conversation that Artyom restarted, which is also on my team. So we wanted to add that, but to get there is taking some.
I see. So we need this fake NUMA.
Yeah, fake NUMA is a great, well, any way to get multi-NUMA, to have the system report multi-NUMA is fine. And if we have multi-NUMA, but say not devices, I can post a PR to A. So a portion of test will still run on test grid. So we will get there.
Thank you for explanation.
No worry, no problem.
Is there any other topics for today?
By the way, for the fake NUMA, do we have one open source ticket?
Not really. I did not create one. I can open one if you will drop me a link. Where can I do it?
I think you can in the Kubernetes like if we have this test case, you can open one. So you need like the for example, need like the kernel enabled NUMA emulation, right? To make the fake NUMA all the test case run. Yeah, I think this way. Yeah. Also, there's a record, right? Yeah.
So we need to create an issue in test infra. Explain why we need it. Okay. Artem,
Yeah.
can you handle it? Can you create an issue on testing from GitHub repository?
Yeah,
Explain
sure.
which test we enable. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah, you can CC me or you assign to me. Yeah, I will try to help take care. Yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah, another reminder, please help each other to review PRs. This one specifically managed by Francesca, but we still have others in this test area, infra area, so let's help each other. Okay, then we will close it up. Thank you everybody for joining. Have a good nice week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, folks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.